those cells, those eukaryotic cells, to form multicellular bodies, something like a sponge. A next stage would be perhaps something like a sea anemone, which has an inside and an outside and has a feeding mechanism. Much later still, some fish started emerging from the water, and we have extremely good fossil evidence of this stage in evolution, when fish emerged from the water and became amphibians. At a later stage still, these amphibians no longer needed to go back to water to reproduce and became reptiles.
We could become extinct at any moment. In fact, when we still lived on the savannah of Africa, the environment to which we were adapted and have fled, but where we still betray the scars of our lowly origin by the coat of fur we grow in the womb and then shed, by the appendix, by our terrible dentition, and by many other things. Our adrenal glands are too big, our prefrontal lobes are too small. We're not the finest primates that could have evolved. It's estimated by the people who've done the DNA work on this that we were down as a species to less than a few thousand.
First of all, you have to understand why the passion is so high, and I think that goes back to a famous statement by Freud, who said that the truly great revolutions are the ones that disturb our own sense of what we once arrogantly took to be our self-importance. And there have been two great revolutions. The first was the Galileo and Copernicus's, and the second was Darwin's. Now we know how tumultuous the first one was. We know what happened to Galileo, but that was only about real estate. That was about whether we're on the central body of the universe or peripherally somewhere. The Darwinian revolution is the big one. That's about essence. That's about who we are.
So if you think that all this is going on in these gigantic fields of gravity and light with you in mind, then you really do have a self-centeredness problem.
Alphen writes, "We are beginning to see that the awesome wonder of the evolution from amoeba to man, for it is without a doubt an awesome wonder, was not the result of a mighty word from a creator, but of a combination of small, apparently insignificant processes. The structural change occurring in a molecule within a chromosome, the result of a struggle over food between two animals, the reproduction and feeding of young. Such are the simple elements that together, in the course of millions of years, created the great wonder. This is nothing separate from ordinary life. The wonder is in our everyday world, if only we had the ability to see it. And of course, there is a wonderful grandeur in this view of life."
The fact that we live at the bottom of a deep gravity well on the surface of a gas-covered planet going around a nuclear fireball 90 million miles away and think this to be normal is some indication of how skewed our perspective tends to be. The evolution of complex life, its very existence in a universe obeying physical laws, is wonderfully surprising, or would be but for the fact that surprise is an emotion that can exist only in a brain which is the product of that very surprising process. The way we see the world, the reason why we find some things intuitively easy to grasp and others hard, is that our brains are themselves evolved organs. molecules, which would normally make nothing more complicated than a chunk of rock, have somehow managed to gather themselves together into chunks of rock-sized matter of such staggering complexity that they're capable of swimming, flying, seeing, hearing, copulating, capturing and eating other such animated chunks of complexity, capable in some cases of thinking and feeling and falling in love with yet other chunks of complex matter.
Most educated people, said Sonata, are aware that we are the outcome of nearly 4 billion years of Darwinian selection. But many tend to think that humans are still somehow the culmination of that. Our sun, however, is less than halfway through its lifespan. It will not be humans who watch that sun's demise 6 billion years from now. Any creatures that then do exist will be as different from us as we are from bacteria or amoeba. Please give me the strength to realize that I'm only on the first step of a voyage of inquiry and discovery.